Brother, what I'm about to tell you will completely change how you understand women. And 97% of men will never learn this because they're too busy chasing the wrong things. Right now, there are men who seem to effortlessly attract women. Not because they're better looking, not because they're richer, but because they understand 5 psychological secrets that most men are completely clueless about. Here's what's crazy. Women know these things about themselves, but they'll never directly tell you. Not because they're being deceptive, but because these patterns operate below conscious awareness. They drive behavior without most women even realizing why they're attracted to certain men and repelled by others. I've watched guys with everything going for them crash and burn with women because they violated these psychological principles. And I've watched average guys with nothing special create intense attraction because they naturally understood these patterns. The difference between struggling with women and having them pursue you, understanding these 5 secrets. That's it. Not your looks, not your money, not your status. Just understanding how female psychology actually works instead of how you think it works. Today, I'm breaking down all 5. Pay close attention, because this information is worth more than any dating course or pickup program. This is the foundation of everything. Let's get into it. Secret 1. Women are attracted to your trajectory, not your position. Here's the first secret that most men completely miss. Women aren't primarily attracted to where you are right now. They're attracted to where you're going. Your trajectory matters infinitely more than your current position. This is why you see women with guys who are broke but grinding towards something bigger, and why you see successful men who are stagnant struggle to keep women interested. It's not about what you have, it's about what you're becoming. Think about this from an evolutionary perspective. For thousands of years, women needed partners who could provide and protect not just today, but into the future. A man with resources, but no drive, would lose those resources. A man with few resources, but massive drive, would likely acquire resources. Women evolved to assess potential, not just present reality. This manifests in specific ways. A man who's building a business, even if he's currently broke, can be more attractive than a man with a stable job who's coasting with no ambition. The broke guy has exciting trajectory. The stable guy has flat trajectory. Women respond to the momentum, not the current bank balance. A man who's actively improving himself, working out, learning skills, expanding his capabilities is more attractive than a man who peaked and stopped growing. The improving man has upward trajectory. The peaked man has declining trajectory. Women sense this difference immediately. Here's what this means practically. Stop thinking your job title or income is what attracts women. Start thinking about the story you're telling through your actions. Are you going somewhere? Do you have a mission you're pursuing with passion? Are you becoming more capable, more skilled, more developed every month? Women ask questions that probe for trajectory. What are you working on? What are your goals? What gets you excited? They're not making small talk. They're assessing whether you're building something or just existing, whether you have drive or you're coasting, whether you're expanding or contracting as a person. The man with powerful trajectory talks about his work, his projects, his goals with genuine enthusiasm. He's not bragging about what he has. He's excited about what he's building. That enthusiasm and forward momentum is magnetic because it signals to her subconscious that this man's value is increasing. Compare this to the man who talks about his accomplishments like they're in the past. I used to, back when I I've already. This signals that his best days are behind him, that he peaked, that his trajectory is flat or declining. Even if his past accomplishments are impressive, the lack of forward momentum kills attraction. Here's the brutal truth. A 25-year-old working 3 jobs while building his business is more attractive than a 35-year-old making 6 figures but coasting with no vision. One has explosive upward trajectory. One has flat or declining trajectory. Women's attraction radar is tuned to momentum, not status. This is actually liberating news. It means you don't need to arrive before you can attract quality women. You just need to be genuinely going somewhere. Have a mission. Build towards something. Improve consistently. That trajectory itself is attractive, regardless of your current position. The practical application. Get crystal clear on where you're going. What are you building? What skills are you developing? What's your mission? Then pursue that mission with genuine passion. Talk about your journey, your growth, your next goals. Let women see that you're a man in motion, not a man in stasis. Women become deeply attracted to men with powerful trajectory because their subconscious reads that momentum as increasing value. You're becoming more. That's primal and magnetic. Your current circumstances matter far less than the direction and speed at which you're moving. Secret 2. Women need emotional variation, not constant stability. Here's the second secret that destroys most men. Women say they want stability, security, and consistency. But what actually creates attraction is emotional variation. Highs and lows, excitement and calm, intensity and peace. The full range, not just one note. Most men hear, "I want stability," and think they should be completely predictable, always available, emotionally flat. They become boring in the name of being dependable. Then they're shocked when she loses interest or leaves them for someone unstable. Here's what's actually happening. Women need emotional stimulation. The human brain is designed to pay attention to variation and change, not to constant sameness. When you're perfectly predictable, perfectly stable, perfectly consistent, you stop creating emotional response. You become background noise. This doesn't mean you should be dramatic, toxic, or create chaos. It means you need to create range. Sometimes you're intensely focused on your mission and unavailable. Sometimes you're fully present and giving her complete attention. Sometimes you're playful and teasing. Sometimes you're serious and deep. Sometimes you're pushing her boundaries. Sometimes you're providing comfort. Think about what creates addiction versus what creates boredom. Predictable rewards create boredom. Variable rewards create addiction. If every single interaction with you is the same, if you're always available, always saying the same things, always responding the same way, she becomes emotionally numb to you. But when your presence creates varied emotional experiences, when she doesn't quite know what version of you she's getting, when interactions can be playful or deep or challenging or comforting, her brain stays engaged. She stays emotionally activated. She stays attracted. Here's how this shows up practically. The man who texts good morning every single day at the same time becomes wallpaper. The man who sometimes disappears into his work for a few days, then resurfaces with intense presence, creates emotional variation. She missed him. She wondered about him. Now he's back and she's activated. The man who agrees with everything she says and never challenges her becomes boring. The man who sometimes agrees, sometimes pushes back, sometimes teases her for being wrong, sometimes deeply validates her creates engagement. She never quite knows which response she'll get, so her brain stays alert. The man who's always in the same mood, always at the same energy level, becomes predictable. The man who can be serious about his goals, playful with her, intense when needed, relaxed other times, shows emotional range. That range is stimulating. This is why women often describe attraction as, "I never knew what I was going to get with him," or "He kept me on my toes." That's not about game playing or manipulation. It's about being a complete person with range, rather than a one-dimensional character who's always the same. Here's the key distinction. This variation has to be authentic. You can't fake range. If you're naturally boring and predictable, trying to manufacture variation will come across as weird or manipulative. The variation comes from actually being a multidimensional person with different modes. You have work mode, where you're intensely focused and unavailable. You have play mode, where you're fun and light. You have depth mode, where you're vulnerable and serious. You have challenge mode, where you push boundaries. All of these are real parts of who you are, and you express different parts at different times. Women stay attracted to men with emotional range because their brains never fully habituate. There's always something slightly unpredictable, slightly unknown, slightly stimulating about the interaction. This keeps the attraction alive long term. The practical application. Stop being one-dimensional. Stop trying to be perfectly consistent in the name of stability. Show different sides of yourself. Sometimes be unavailable because you're deep in your work. Sometimes be intensely present. Sometimes tease and play. Sometimes be serious and deep. Let her experience the full range of who you are. This creates emotional investment because she's never quite settled about you. She never fully has you figured out. She stays engaged, curious, attracted. That's the opposite of the boring stability that kills attraction over time. And secret 3. Women test your frame constantly. It's not personal. The third secret that confuses most men. Women will constantly test whether you're actually as confident and secure as you appear. These tests aren't malicious. They're subconscious mechanisms to verify that your strength is real, not performance. Most men interpret these tests as attacks, disrespect, or problems to fix. They either get defensive and angry, or they fold and try to please their way out of the test. Both responses fail the test and lower attraction. Here's what's actually happening. Women need to know if your confidence is genuine or just a front. The only way to know is to apply pressure and see if you buckle. If you remain calm and unshaken, you pass. If you become reactive, defensive, or needy, you fail. These tests show up constantly. She says something slightly critical to see if you'll become insecure. She goes cold to see if you'll panic and start seeking her approval. She disagrees with you to see if you will abandon your position to please her. She creates minor conflict to see if you can handle emotional turbulence without melting down. None of this is conscious strategy. Her subconscious is running these tests automatically because female psychology evolved to filter for genuinely strong men versus men who just appear strong. A man who crumbles under the slightest pressure isn't actually strong. He's performing strength, and performance collapses under pressure. Think about what passing these tests looks like. She makes a slightly cutting remark. You don't get defensive. Maybe you smile slightly, acknowledging it without being rattled. You've just demonstrated that her approval isn't your oxygen. That's attractive. She pulls back emotionally to see if you'll chase. You don't. You give her space and continue living your life. You've just demonstrated that you're not dependent on her for your emotional state. That's attractive. She picks a fight about something minor. You don't engage with the surface topic. You stay calm, maybe even find humor in the situation. You've just demonstrated emotional stability and the ability to see past surface drama. That's attractive. Here's the critical insight. These tests never stop. Even in long relationships, women will periodically test to make sure your strength is still real. This isn't a problem to solve. It's a feature of female psychology to understand and work with. The man who understands frame testing doesn't take it personally. He doesn't get angry at being tested. He recognizes it as her subconscious checking whether he's still the strong, stable man she was attracted to. He passes these tests effortlessly because he's not performing confidence, he is confident. Compare this to the man who sees every test as an attack. He gets defensive. Why are you being like this? He gets needy. Why don't you like me anymore? He gets angry. I'm sick of your attitude. All of these responses communicate that he's not actually secure. He's fragile, and fragility kills attraction. The frame you need to maintain is this: I'm a complete person, with or without you. I'm comfortable with who I am. Your moods and tests don't shake my foundation. I can handle emotional turbulence without becoming turbulent myself. That frame, when genuinely held, makes you essentially untestable because there's nothing to shake. Here's what most men don't realize. Passing these tests actually makes women feel more secure, not less. When they test and you remain solid, they relax. They trust that you're actually strong enough to handle life's challenges. They feel safe with you because you've demonstrated you can't be emotionally destabilized easily. But when you fail these tests, when you become reactive or needy or defensive, they feel less secure. If minor tests shake you, how will you handle real adversity? If her mood can destabilize you, how will you be a stable force when life gets difficult? The practical application: stop taking tests personally. Recognize them for what they are: automatic verification systems. When she tests, stay calm and centered. Don't argue about the surface issue. Don't try to logic your way through. Just remain unshaken. Your stability in the face of testing is the answer, not whatever words you use. When you pass these tests consistently, attraction deepens because she's verified that your strength is real. When you fail them, attraction dies because she's discovered you're not as solid as you appeared. Secret 4. Women bond through shared emotions, not shared activities. The fourth secret that men consistently miss: women don't bond with you through doing things together. They bond through feeling things together. Shared emotional experiences create connection, not shared activities. Most men try to build connection by suggesting activities. Let's go do this thing. Want to try this restaurant? We should go here. They think the activity itself creates the bond. It doesn't. The emotions you experience during the activity create the bond. This is why two women can sit and talk for hours and feel deeply connected, despite doing nothing but talking. They're sharing emotions, vulnerabilities, thoughts, feelings. They're creating emotional resonance. That's what builds connection in female psychology. For men, connection often comes through shared activity. We bond by working on projects together, playing sports, accomplishing things side by side. We assume women work the same way. They don't. The activity is just the context. The emotional sharing is what matters to them. Think about what this means practically. You can take a woman to an expensive restaurant, but if the conversation is surface level small talk about the food and weather, no real connection forms. You can take her to a cheap coffee shop, but if the conversation creates emotional resonance, vulnerability, laughter, depth, powerful connection forms. The activity doesn't matter nearly as much as the emotional quality of the interaction during the activity. A walk in the park where you have a deep conversation about life, dreams, fears, experiences creates more bonding than a fancy date where you stay in small talk mode. This is why women say things like, "I just want someone I can talk to," or "Conversation is so important." They're not just making polite noise, they're expressing a fundamental truth about how they bond. Through emotional exchange, vulnerability, being truly seen and heard. Here's what this means for building attraction. Stop focusing so much on impressive dates and activities. Start focusing on creating emotional experiences. Make her laugh. Make her think. Create moments of vulnerability. Have conversations that matter. Share genuine parts of yourself and invite her to share genuine parts of herself. The man who understands this can create deep connection in any setting because he knows the setting doesn't matter. Coffee shop, park bench, drive in the car, wherever. What matters is his ability to create emotional resonance through authentic conversation and presence. Compare this to the man who thinks expensive restaurants and impressive activities will win her over. He's focused on external impressions. She's evaluating emotional connection. He's trying to buy attraction. She's assessing whether he can create feeling. Two different currencies. This is also why women can lose interest even when everything looks good on paper. Great dates, nice gestures, impressive activities, but no emotional connection. No vulnerability, no real conversations, no shared feelings, just surface-level interaction in impressive settings. That doesn't create lasting attraction. Here's the distinction. Shared activities create shared memories. Shared emotions create bonding. You want both, but the emotions are what make the memories meaningful. The concert was fun, activity, but the vulnerable conversation you had after about life and dreams, emotion, is what she remembers and what created connection. The practical application. Stop trying so hard to impress with activities. Start focusing on emotional presence during whatever you're doing. Be genuinely engaged. Share real thoughts and feelings. Ask questions that go below the surface. Create moments of laughter, depth, vulnerability, excitement. These emotional experiences bond her to you regardless of the setting. Women feel connected to men who can create emotional experiences, not men who can afford impressive activities. This is actually liberating because it means connection isn't about money or access. It's about emotional intelligence and genuine presence, which anyone can develop. Secret 5. Women are more attracted to men. Other women want. The fifth and final secret. Female attraction is socially influenced in ways male attraction isn't. Women are significantly more attracted to men who other women are attracted to. This is called pre-selection, and it's one of the most powerful forces in female psychology. This isn't shallow or manipulative. It's an evolved mechanism that makes complete sense. In ancestral environments, figuring out which men were high value was difficult and risky. But if other women had already vetted a man and found him desirable, that was valuable information. His desirability to other women signaled he possessed qualities worth having. This manifests in ways men find confusing. The guy who's single and available gets moderate interest. The same guy in a relationship suddenly has women showing interest. The guy who's friendly with lots of women attracts more female attention than the guy who's isolated. The guy who gets attention from women finds it easier to get more attention from women. It's a feedback loop. The more women validate you as desirable, the more desirable you become to other women. Conversely, the less female attention you get, the less attractive you become, because absence of female validation signals low value. Start applying these secrets today. Focus on where you're going, not where you are. Create variation instead of being predictable. Stay solid when tested. Build emotional connection over impressive activities. And develop genuine comfort with women that creates natural social proof. Do this, and you'll join the 3% of men who actually understand women. And those men? They don't struggle with attraction. Because they're working with the underlying psychology instead of fighting against it with tactics that were never going to work. Now you know. Use it wisely.